Look, I'm gonna be honest with you. Your resume is a little weird, but it's interesting, so I'll give you a shot. And normally I would ask a lot more questions, but we're not gonna beat around the bush here. I'm gonna be very straight up with you. What makes you think you should be on this list? What's going on, guys? Josh from soccerreviewsforyou.com, bringing you the top 5 best soccer cleats of 2017. Now, these top 5 picks are purely based on my experience in regards to performance. It has nothing to do with the price, it has nothing to do with the colorways, it has nothing to do with the looks of the shoe, it has nothing to do with the brand. If it would end up being 5 Adidas shoes, or 5 Nike shoes, or 5 Joma shoes, you get the idea. Nothing else matters except the performance. That's how I made these picks. Other criteria or requirements for these picks is that all of these shoes are readily available, meaning that you can go and buy them right now. No sense in me telling you about shoes that you can't actually get, which also means that limited edition boots are not included, even though there were some really good ones this year. But maybe in a future video, I can make a top 5 limited edition releases of 2017 if enough of you guys want to see that happen. Basically, have to be available right now, and these are the shoes that impress me the most throughout the year in no particular order. Also, if you guys enjoy the top 5 series on my channel and want to see more, don't forget to support this video with a like. Also, feel free to leave your top 5 picks down below in the comment section. The Nike Mercurial Vapor 11. This is a shoe that's been around for a little while now, but it truly and honestly is the best of its kind. Nothing even really comes close from Nike or any other brand for that matter. It's the lightest, it's the thinnest, it fits the tightest, it's the most responsive, it offers the most aggressive traction. It really is the pinnacle of what a Mercurial should be, in my opinion. It's by no means perfect. I think it would have been better had they gotten rid of the texturing and just made it that little bit much thinner. But really, other than that, it's difficult to criticize this particular shoe. If you've been a fan of the Mercurial line, like I said, I think this is the best of the best in terms of what they've ever offered from this particular model. The Superfly 5 is great and all with its Flyknit upper and the mid-cut design, but I personally find the Vapor more comfortable. It's lighter, it offers a more raw sensation because of its thinner upper versus the Flyknit upper that you would get on the Superfly 5. And again, it's not to knock the Superfly, it's just a very different experience. But when you're talking about the speed boot aesthetic, the speed boot feel, even though that really is just a marketing term, I really think that the Vapor 11 does that better than any other shoe out there right now, which is why it's on this list. The Adidas X17 Plus Pure Speed. Now, the name would obviously suggest that this is along the lines of a Mercurial Vapor in terms of being thin and light. And to a certain extent, the Pure Speed is thin and light, but it really doesn't feel anything like a Vapor, and honestly doesn't feel much like a Nike Mercurial at all, even though a lot of people like to compare the two lines. What's great about the Pure Speed is a couple different things. The upper, it's listed as a tech fit material, not very descriptive. It's got this nice synthetic that reminds me a lot of Hybrid Touch, something we used to see from Adidas going back 4 or 5 years now. Really soft, really comfortable on the thinner side, but it has that softness and a little bit of padding to it as well, which feels great against your foot as well as great on the ball. It's got this huge lace cover that obviously covers up laces. This is not a laceless model like the $300 models you'll find from the Nemesis and the Ace line from the Adidas brand right now. But the lockdown from the lacing system, while it's just very short, it's very, very effective, giving you pretty good responsiveness. It's got this internal elasticated tech fit system, which works quite well. The comfort and lockdown in the heel is some of the best you'll find from any shoe available right now. And then the sprint frame, sole plate, and stud pattern construction of the shoe gives it a nice lightweight feel, weighing in at right around the 7-ounce range. Not quite as light as a Vapor, but still very lightweight overall. Really, I think the Pure Speed is a great option for somebody who's looking for kind of that speed boot type fit and feel, but one that's not overly tight, not overly thin, and not necessarily plasticky or rigid feeling on your feet. It's a more forgiving variation of a speed boot, one that I think is just very good overall. So again, difficult to compare to pretty much anything else out there, but very, very good in terms of what it does. The Nike Tiempo Legend 7. Regular viewers of the channel won't be surprised by this pick. It remains to be my personal favorite, which is well-known information. But the reason why it makes this top 5 list is not just because it's my favorite, it's because it's a legitimately amazing performer and the only kangaroo leather shoe that you're gonna find on this top 5 list, because it does the whole leather thing better than any other shoe while still maintaining all of the modern fit, feel, and performance characteristics you would expect from a soccer cleat in 2017. I think a lot of people who have tried leather shoes in the past and didn't really like them, not because of the touch, not because of the comfort, but because of the sloppiness that they can sometimes have in regards to the way that they wrap your foot after some wear time, because they do tend to stretch, and then therefore that impacts the responsiveness, and the whole thing kind of just ends up being not as good of an experience as you get from something with a synthetic upper that just has a more secure fit on your foot. That problem is completely eliminated with the Nike Tiempo Legend 7. Not only do you get that premium quality kangaroo leather, a good amount of it by the way, it's reinforced by an internal support cage, which is what the texturing you see here on the surface that's underneath the leather, plus a fit mesh liner in the forefoot, plus the flywire cables that run in the top 3 lacing positions, all creating for an extremely locked down sensation inside of this soft leather upper, allowing you to have that comfort of a leather shoe, but also the responsiveness of something along the lines of a mercurial. I'm not saying these are as responsive as mercurials, but it's much more responsive than any other kangaroo leather shoe that I have personally ever worn. It does have the Flyknit aspect to it at the rear, which honestly, in my opinion, has no impact on performance, but it does have the elasticated Flyknit tongue, which I actually really like a lot. It makes the shoe feel really good in terms of how it wraps across the top of your foot. No extra space at all. It's got one of the best heel liners, I think, of any shoe out there at the moment. And then they've updated the sole plate and stud pattern in comparison to what we've seen from previous generations of Tiempos, now being called a hyper stability sole plate that's a little bit thinner, a little bit more flexible, but also very sturdy underfoot. And then the stud pattern, same general layout we've come to expect from the Tiempo line, but just made a little bit more aggressive, again, to fit with the modern 2017, I guess, era of cleats that we're in right now. So all in all, it's an amazing performer. The Tiempo Legend 7 really is, in my opinion, the best combination of old and new boot technologies all combined into one, really creating the best of both worlds, if you will. Did I mention that they're only 7 ounces, pretty much the same weight as a Superfly? It's ridiculous. The Under Armour ClutchFit Force 3.0. If you want to talk underrated, this is the most underrated shoe out there right now. The problem is that Under Armour, while they're capable of making great products like the ClutchFit, they also come out with products like this. So it really has been a 1 step forward, 2 steps back type situation for the Under Armour brand over the last couple of years. What's great about the ClutchFit Force 3.0 is the way that it wraps your foot, and that really is the key, because most soccer cleats would kind of fit around your foot rather than truly wrap your foot. What's cool about this is the upper. It's called ClutchFit material, as the name of the shoe would suggest, and it's a stretchy microfiber base layer with these chevron reinforcements on top, more dense in the forefoot toe box area, the high stress parts of the upper, and then a little bit more open through the midfoot and heel area. So what you'll find, unlike a regular soccer shoe, when you slide these on and tie the laces tight, there isn't that extra space on the inside. It's predetermined or pre-shaped to actually fit a little bit more snug in terms of how everything is cut. So when you pull the laces tight, you'll immediately notice that the upper stretches out and wraps around your foot with no extra space on the inside whatsoever. And then as soon as you loosen the laces again, it kind of just springs back into its original shape. It's a really, really unique sensation that I've only ever experienced from the ClutchFit line from Under Armour. And it's just really, really good, super comfortable. The touch on the ball is on the thinner side. And as far as the texturing on the surface is concerned, it's got a little bit of texture to the touch, but it's almost a rubbery sensation on the ball. So you get that little bit of extra grip, that is kind of missing from today's lineup of modern soccer cleats. We don't have a lot of rubber elements anymore. This is kind of the closest thing to that, but not quite on that same level in terms of the grip that it provides. Standard low cut. It's a relatively lightweight construction, weighing in at right around the 8-ounce mark, and the sole plate and stud pattern is top notch. We've come to expect that from Under Armour. They always tend to do that very, very well. Also, because this isn't the most popular shoe in the world, you're able to get these at heavily discounted prices in multiple different colorways. So instead of having to pay the $220 retail price, you can get these pretty much all the time for right around $100 while it is still a current model. The Nike Hypervenom Phantom 3 Low, specifically the low cut version, one, because it's actually lighter than the mid cut version because you don't have extra material extending it to a point that it doesn't need to be. Two, I find the low cut more comfortable. That's a matter of opinion, but I think a lot of people who have tried both would agree with me. And then three, while I said at the start of the video, this doesn't really matter, it's $50 cheaper than the DF model, which I think is a factor in this situation when you have two variations of what is essentially the exact same shoe. Anyways, the Phantom 3 Low makes this list because it is just straight up really, really good. The Flyknit upper is impressive to say the least. Texturing obviously plays a big role in terms of everything you can see here, bumped out from the surface of what it would otherwise be a flat Flyknit material. And really in terms of what we've gotten from Nike with their Flyknit uppers so far, I think this one is the most impressive in terms of the softness, the comfort, really the more sock-like sensation that you get from this shoe. I think this does that better than anything we've previously seen from Nike as a general release in the form of a Flyknit upper. The Flywire cables that they incorporated throughout the lacing system are very effective in terms of locking your foot in place. The pour-on inserts, interesting idea, not quite as noticeable really once you get used to the shoes in general. The fact that it is a Flyknit upper with a low cut offering, that's something that a lot of us have wanted ever since they first introduced Flyknit in the form of the Superfly 4 and the Obra, which I think is definitely a really good thing, and I hope we see more of it with future Flyknit releases from Nike. The comfort is great. The sole plate and stud pattern reworked for this generation of Hypervenoms. It's good. There's nothing really that special about it, but as a package, I just think that the Hypervenom Phantom 3 Low is an excellent performer, and in comparison to a lot of other Nike models, again, it is pretty well priced at $250 rather than $300, which is what you'll have to pay to get Flyknit on any other shoe. So as a whole, very, very impressive. And again, one of those shoes that's very difficult to compare to anything else. It's kind of its own standalone product in terms of its uniqueness. It's tight, but not quite as tight as Mercurial. It's responsive along the lines of what I would say you get from Mercurial, but not quite the same in regards to stud pattern, not quite the same in regards to fit. It's its own thing, and that is by no means a bad thing in my opinion. I want to add one honorable mention to this list, and it's only an honorable mention because it technically doesn't qualify because it was limited, meaning that it's not readily available now. And of course, I'm talking about the Nike Mercurial Vapor Flyknit Ultra. Of the Flyknit Mercurials, of which we've only really ever had two, the Superfly 4 and the Superfly 5, this blows those two shoes out of the water in my opinion. The Flyknit upper is amazing, sock-like, comfortable, fits extremely well, typical Mercurial. It's got the speed rib texturing, but done in a way with this grippy surface edge, which just feels really unique on the ball. Really good when dribbling as well as shooting. Big fan of the overall feel and touch that this material provides. It's a low cut, it's lightweight, it's on the same base or platform as what you'd find from the Superfly 5 and Vapor 11, which is a great platform for any shoe. And again, as a whole, just a tremendous performer, very, very impressive. And I hope we get this in the form of a general release at some point in time, even though that's very unlikely. Anyways, guys, those are my picks for the top 5 best performing soccer cleats of 2017. I realized that 3 out of 5 of these picks were Nike models, so thank you to the people who pointed that out down below in the comments for me. But again, the criteria for these picks was strictly performance, and from a performance standpoint, Nike's lineup right now is not only really good, but each line, specific models, have really, really defining characteristics about them, very unique shoes as a whole that actually work really well, which is why they made this list. Not just because I really like Nike shoes, I think they make great stuff, clearly, but again, I legitimately think that these 5 shoes that I picked were the best 5 of the year that you can buy right now. That's pretty much it though, guys. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to support the video with a like. If you have any questions for me at all or any suggestions, leave that down below in the comments and I'll do my best to get an answer out to you as soon as I possibly can. Subscribe if you haven't already for daily videos on all the latest and greatest soccer gear. All my social media information is linked down below in the description as well. And other than that, guys, hope you enjoyed the video. As always, thanks for watching.